What's up guys, welcome back. This is Anime Crossover. You'll be watching What If Naruto Was Reincarnated as Vegito Part 6. Now let's begin. Naruto was enjoying his burger as he savors something that he had been longing for. He struggled to replicate the flavor of Coca-Cola, a unique soft drink. Drinking the beverage quickly, taking big gulps. Wow, how can you eat so much? Ritsuka asked, as he took a bite of his own food, a salad. That's essentially all that remains of their own food. The supplies of Naruto are currently being unpacked and carefully inspected for any potential issues. I enjoy food, Naruto responds, causing Mash to let out a squeak and avert their gaze. So, are servants considered a type of familiar? Naruto asked her, attempting to ease the tension in the atmosphere. Indeed, the answer is yes, she responds, glancing anxiously in his direction. Naruto let out a small chuckle. I assure you, I won't harm you. As I mentioned earlier, I am here to assist you in resolving this situation, Naruto tries to reassure her. Although, the servant thing is quite intriguing, he remarked as he reviewed them. However, what could possibly motivate someone to attempt summoning them in the first place? Naruto wondered why summoning someone from the dead to fight seemed like such a foolish idea. Regarding the Holy Grail War, responds Mash, the Holy Grail, is that the cup believed to have been used during the Last Supper? Naruto inquired with a sense of curiosity and a hint of hesitation. Connor advised Naruto to avoid tampering with artifacts from that era, let alone attempting to travel through time to that period. Based on his observations, it seems that the events that occurred during that time cannot be altered, at least in the DC universe or any other Earth. Despite his efforts, he has not discovered any potential methods to change these events. He is taking his work seriously during that period. No, its name was used to ridicule the church, says Olga, entering the cafeteria looking fatigued. Is that so? Naruto wondered as he reflected on his recollections of how the church supposedly dealt with individuals possessing magical abilities. Tragic accidents involving drowning, fire, being crushed by stones, and decapitation. Indeed, Naruto has observed that individuals who possess magical abilities tend to have strained relationships with the church. So, what is the purpose of the Grail? He inquired while gazing at Olga. It grants wishes, she responds, and Naruto blinked in surprise. Are you referring to wishes? He inquired with a hint of doubt about it. In addition to the Dragon Balls, every other wishing artifact that he is aware of has some sort of drawback or consequence. Additionally, it was created by individuals, so there may have been errors or mishaps during their usage of it. Indeed, it accomplishes this by harnessing and storing mystical energy to manifest those desires, she responds, while Naruto gazes at her, contemplating this information and struggling to suppress the urge to facepalm. That sounds risky, Naruto remarked, drawing upon his extensive understanding of magic. Transforming pure magical energy into a force capable of fulfilling desires requires an immense gathering of magic. He has explored the realm of Wishcraft in an attempt to create his own version of the Dragon Balls, but unfortunately, his efforts have yielded little success. On the other hand, he is uncertain about the similarities between their forms of Wishcraft, but the Dragon Ball version of it poses a significant threat. One of the reasons he decided to cease practicing and instead focus on learning about it. There are several challenges that one may encounter when trying to learn how to use it. There were two important factors that Naruto needed to consider in order to truly master it. Firstly, it is important to note that the monkey's paw is indeed a tangible object. Considering the potential consequences, it is important to carefully consider the implications of a wish for all individuals on Earth to consistently meet their minimum nutritional needs. Such a wish could potentially lead to a disturbing scenario where people resort to cannibalism as a means of survival. Furthermore, intent does not play a role in my version of Wishcraft. That's why he preferred to rely on the Dragon Balls to fulfill his desires, rather than resorting to Wishcraft. Naruto lacks the necessary skills to safely fulfill his own wishes. The Eternal Dragons have unique qualities. They possess the necessary expertise to effectively utilize Wishcraft to its full potential. Certainly, he might have a desire to acquire the knowledge of creating his own Dragon Balls using the Super Dragon Balls, should he come across them. However, he lacked a clear vision for his future and was unsure of what he truly desired in terms of long-term success or personal achievements. To achieve godlike power, Naruto simply needs to cultivate his God Ki, enabling him to surpass his previous limits and become stronger than ever. It would be beneficial for him to dedicate more time to reading and practicing magic in order to develop his skills naturally. The only thing I could possibly hope for is that he pushes himself to his utmost physical potential. The process involved is quite complex, yet undeniably impressive. Naruto acknowledged the brilliance behind it, despite having a hunch that those grails might bring trouble. Given the fact that the creature is in possession of 2 evil Dragon Balls, it is worth noting. Indeed, says Olga as he prepares to retire to his assigned room to reflect on everything. So, what's the deal with these grails? He asked Olga, to which she let out a sigh. Based on Romani's findings, it is highly likely, if not certain, that the Holy Grails are involved, as he has successfully identified the precise locations of multiple singularities. These are essentially anomalies within the timeline. There are currently 7 of them, she says, leaving me feeling perplexed. Expanding my awareness to its limits, I could still sense the presence of the burning town. However, it feels different than it did before, well, more unconventional. Naruto was unsure about the situation, but he believed that these moments in time were not easily detectable. They reminded him of the pocket dimensions he had been experimenting with lately. What about beyond Chaldea? He questioned, causing everyone at the table to turn towards me with looks of confusion. Chaldea is the only place that matters, they were practically floating. What in the world are you all talking about? Naruto interjected, pointing out that he can sense the presence of billions of humans, Olga said. What are you talking about? Humanity has been incinerated, she says, and he raises an eyebrow at her audacity. Naruto exhaled as he recalled that she was unable to detect the life force of others, Ki. He was discussing the souls that floated in the sky during their time in the burning town. However, beyond Chaldea, he sensed the presence of humans moving across the planet, I explained, much to their skepticism. Naruto cautiously opened his mouth once more, sensing a presence nearby. He instinctively turned his head and was met with the sight of a mysterious blue mist, accompanied by a pair of intense, glowing red eyes. Observing the others, he notices that they have been completely immobilized. Reflecting on the blue mist, Naruto was struck by the sense of witnessing a powerful force advancing, spreading progress in its wake. He quickly grasped its purpose. Naruto responded with a display of his expertise, utilizing one of the abilities of his Ki's will. He faced the situation head-on, his expression remaining calm and composed despite the overwhelming sensation of countless individuals attempting to challenge him. People with a heightened level of skill, the blue mist quickly dissipates, revealing that time has been reversed to a certain extent. Olga then begins speaking once more. There is no existence beyond Chaldea. We are essentially suspended in emptiness. She proceeds to provide an explanation of the events that occurred outside Chaldea. Well, that mysterious blue mist seems to be concealing the existence of the outside world from Chaldea. For some unknown reason, Naruto's perspective. Ah, you're awake, I remark as I step into the infirmary and approach King Arthur. At least the version of him in this reality, Naruto, she says, maintaining a professional demeanor as she locks eyes with me. How are you doing? I inquire of her, sensing an imminent outburst. I am doing fine, although a bit tired, she responds in a concise manner before something catches her attention. A low rumble emerging from her stomach. Follow me. I can guide you to the cafeteria. Fortunately, they have finally resolved the issue with the food, I inform her, and she blushes slightly in embarrassment, acknowledging my offer. So, how did you experience that period when you were not feeling like your usual self? I inquire directly as she responds sharply and I briefly catch a glimpse of her expression. Feeling a range of negative emotions, including anger, disgust, shame, and above all, self-hatred. Collecting herself, she inhales deeply and exhales. It felt like I was the one doing those things, and I'm sorry I can't discuss it, she says at the end as she closes her eyes. Apologies for my thoughtless comment. I must confess, I feel a bit embarrassed by my impulsive behavior. I was interested in learning more about the corruption she was involved in, but it seems I'll have to be patient before I can inquire again. Arriving at the cafeteria, I guided her towards the food, even though she was perfectly capable of finding it herself. She promptly grabbed a plate and started filling it with food. As you may be aware, I am Naruto, and I have a question that has piqued my curiosity. Yes, she says, contemplating her meal and pondering which delicious morsel to savor first. I believe we should consider establishing a professional agreement between us. Rest assured, I am aware that you possess unique qualities beyond those of a typical employee, I stated. What is the reason for your interest? She asks while quickly finishing her meal. Do you have any idea what's going on at the moment? I inquire with some uncertainty if she has been briefed on the information regarding the singularities. I understand, and while I may not have a complete understanding of the details, I have made a commitment to help resolve these singularities, she says with a hint of regret in her eyes. What happened was not your fault, I attempt to console her. It was, I did so many regrettable things, I need some time. I will consider your offer, she says, and I immediately understood her message. I stood up and made my way to my room. My eye twitched as my other body wakes up because of Connor's loud outburst. After a long day, I retire to my room and allow my body to rest while my mind remains focused on the task at hand in the database. Excuse me, I ask with frustration. I discovered another one of our pieces, he responds with a mixed expression on his face. What is his demeanor? I request assistance in resolving my frustration. Depressed, he replies, and I close my eyes as I let out a sigh. He became Danny Phantom when Danny's ghost half was separated from him. He explains that he essentially becomes the human half while having Danny's ghost half, and I blink in surprise. Is there an issue? I inquire professionally. He discovered the existence of an organization that is tampering with the multiverse. He discovered a universe that included Ben 10 within the Nickelodeon realm. You're joking? I inquire with a glimmer of hope. No, but honestly, based on what Danny showed me, those guys seem pretty weak and cowardly. Well, at least compared to us. At most, they could destroy an entire galaxy, but their knowledge is what's really interesting. How can I assist you? The individual who pursued Danny proved to be an effective means of gathering a substantial amount of information. The one he captured had a stroke of luck and stumbled upon a timeline involving a certain Ben Tennyson, who was destined to meet his demise during his initial encounter with Vilgax. They pilfer objects from various realities before reincarnating them, using them to collect valuable data. The individual he apprehended goes by the name of Jason. It seems fortune favored him in this particular timeline, he says with a hint of excitement. I can potentially achieve the same outcome by separating and isolating this timeline, he continues to explain. Connor, I say firmly to refocus his attention. Indeed, Danny is closely monitoring them. Danny's personality, I mutter with frustration. Oh, I see, he takes his work seriously, but he also seems to be dealing with some emotional struggles. Despite his immense power, he appears to be quite isolated without any companions. It seems that he occupies his time by constantly pushing the boundaries of his abilities, he finally explains with a somewhat embarrassed expression. I feel a sense of relief as he finally explains Danny's personality. How capable is he? I inquire of him. High universal to low multiversal, he states in a straightforward manner. Danny possesses an extraordinary ability to navigate through time, effortlessly transforming dreams into tangible realities and even manipulating the fabric of his own universe, all thanks to the incredible power of the reality gauntlet. There seems to be an interesting backstory behind that. You wouldn't believe it, one thing is evident, we will inevitably encounter this organization, he states, and I solemnly agree with him. We will inevitably encounter them, it's just a matter of time. Additionally, I would like to discuss the current situation at Chaldea and the urgent need to acquire 2 evil Dragon Balls, I mention, elaborating on the matter at hand. I will also provide an explanation of the situation I am currently facing. I need to remove the second body as soon as possible. I feel like the world is constantly pushing me away. I have the strength to overcome any obstacle and assert my presence, but eventually my second form will fade into oblivion. Perhaps it's a matter of the universe struggling to handle your immense strength and power. One of the benefits of having Ki is the sheer force it grants you. I have no doubt that if you were to unleash your full potential, you could easily obliterate the very fabric of this universe. However, it's wise to exercise caution and refrain from exerting too much power, as it may lead to the premature disappearance of your second body. What you said about Excalibur, did it resemble this one? He asks, revealing a sword. The Excalibur from DC, I remark, my gaze fixed upon it, sensing an air of peril that even I cannot ignore. The main Excalibur, from the prime DC Earth. This sword is highly effective against Kryptonian opponents, as demonstrated when I defeated a formidable new god named Kalibak. Quite the challenge, remarks Connor. This blade possesses extraordinary power, capable of vanquishing immortals and the undead. Its energy blasts have the potential to cleave through planets, he casually mentions, leaving me in awe. What do you mean by only you? Well, the energy released is only within my capabilities, and let me assure you, I recently experienced my first sun dip. Currently, I am exploring methods to recreate the process used with this Excalibur in order to fashion my own exceptional weapon. It seems that this remarkable device derives its power directly from the source, he explains with evident enthusiasm, while I struggle to suppress my exasperation. Connor's expertise in technology and magic surpasses mine by a significant margin, which is no longer a source of amusement. Connor has been exploring other dimensions while I am taking my time, then again we are both in different situations. How long do you? Apologies, I am receiving an alert. Boom tubes have suddenly appeared all over the planet. I will speak with you at a later time, he states before ending the call. I let out a deep sigh. Naruto's perspective. The destination we are heading to is France, states Olga, gesturing towards a screen. France, I can't help but think of the unfortunate fate of Jeanne d'Arc, just a few days after she was burned alive, I say, already anticipating what lies ahead. How did you guess? Romani asks, his eyes filled with a hint of suspicion. I am quite accustomed to this situation. After encountering numerous challenges, it becomes easy to anticipate and recognize such occurrences, I say, while gently rubbing my eyes. It's quite remarkable how the roles of historical figures are being reimagined. It seems that the concept of gender is being challenged in unexpected ways. Okay, it's important for us to identify the root cause of the singularity and address it. Excuse me, I have a question, I interject, politely raising my hand. What? Olga asks, her tone tinged with annoyance. If we are able to resolve the issue, what about the potential implications or consequences? I inquire, taking into account Connor's cautionary advice regarding the risks associated with manipulating time. This singularity matter is uncharted territory for me. What are you talking about? Mash inquires, displaying a newfound sense of calm towards me. Fortunately, when we address the singularities, there will undoubtedly be significant ongoing changes. This situation is quite different from what I am accustomed to. However, being aware of the information I possess, it is evident that even if we manage to resolve them, we will still face challenges. It is highly probable that once we tackle all the singularities, we will not revert to the familiar world you are accustomed to. In fact, there may be substantial transformations in the final outcome, I explain, discussing this matter with Connor, the sole authority on successful time travel. Based on the information I provided, Connor has come up with a theory that the timeline has been fragmented and each fragment is being manipulated separately to serve the agenda of the responsible party. If we were to address the modifications, there would be numerous variations. I understand your point. It seems that by tampering with time, our return to the past will have even greater consequences, creating a chain reaction, Romani states as I affirm his words, meeting his gaze with intensity. How do you possess such extensive knowledge about time travel? He asks abruptly. Fortunately, I had already contemplated this scenario. Preventing Magus from time traveling back to the Age of Gods, I respond, causing him to blink and release a deep breath. I am quite disappointed by what I discovered about the individuals who possess magic in this place. They demonstrate a lack of self-control. They conduct experiments on deceased individuals and even children, engaging in gruesome practices, all in pursuit of a mysterious goal known as the root or akasha. It seems to claim to possess all knowledge that exists or has ever existed, which is highly questionable. I understand the reasoning behind time traveling to the past in order to harness the strength that humans possessed during that time. Some of the books I've read document instances where individuals possess the remarkable ability to effortlessly move boulders. Reflecting on the accomplishments of humanity in the past versus the present, I can't help but feel a mix of frustration and empathy towards the challenges they faced. Upset because the fact that I learned how something works makes it weaker frustrates me, understanding on behalf of Gaia of all people, since humans just don't seem to care about the consequences. Connor was able to provide me with information about the situation between humanity and Gaia. Connor essentially stated that humanity severed their connection to Gaia, their home planet, in a conceptual sense. What a group of incompetent individuals. Once I heard that, I understood without any further clarification. Simply put, Gaia can be seen as a living organism, with humanity acting as its immune system. Unfortunately, humanity's actions have caused harm to Gaia, leading to its decline. In response, Gaia has started to remove magic from the world. If I needed any further evidence of the lack of intelligence in humanity, there it is. Gaia is in a precarious situation, as the remaining magical energy is being depleted by humanity, leaving her with little to sustain herself. True ether is like the oxygen-rich air, while ether is what remains in the lungs when they are filled with carbon monoxide. It's not my concern anyway. Olga provided us with clear instructions and updates on the tasks and teams. She inquired about Saber's agreement to the contract, to which I indicated my disagreement. I will not pressure her into agreeing to become my servant. Fortunately, I possess the ability to cast the spells utilized in this realm. However, I must admit that I am not particularly fond of them. They seem rather inflexible and rigid in their structure. If I were to infuse them with additional magical energy, the spells would lose their effectiveness. I prefer to use my own spells, utilizing the DB system because of its simplicity once you gain experience. After exiting the room, I approach Artoria to inquire if she would be willing to serve me. She appears quite professional, dressed in a blue outfit with armor pieces strategically placed. Do you accept? I inquire for the sake of professionalism. Yes, I, Artoria Pendragon, accept your offer to become your Saber, she states confidently, and with that, the contract is sealed as command seals appear on my left hand. Thank you, Saber, I say, expressing my gratitude as I sense the subtle flow of magical energy leaving me and converging towards her. Saber stats: strength. Exceptional high level of endurance, B+. High level of agility. Mana, A++, lowered from X due to Naruto providing her with less support. Fortune. Excellent ultimate ability. X, thanks to possessing both Excalibur and Avalon. Impressive, I remark, acknowledging her formidable stats. It's clear that Caster Cuchulain's parameters lean towards the lower end of the spectrum, but you seem to be an exception to that. She pauses, taken aback by the significant expansion of her parameters. Saber, we are heading to France, I inform. France, she repeats, and I can just barely catch a hint of irritation on her face. I quickly understand why she has a British background. Yes, France, I echo as I guide her towards the room labeled coffins, where I can perceive the presence of others. If we are heading into hostile territory, I would like for you to carry this, she says, bringing out her sword and unsheathing it. Avalon is truly impressive, exuding sheer power that catches my attention. When it comes to magical complexity, this one would rank second, just behind the Dragon Balls which take the top spot. I won't be needing it, believe me, I confidently declare, raising my right arm while ki envelops my left arm. With a swift motion, I slash at my right arm. Ending it nevertheless, the severed limb starts to float on its own, leaving Artoria both amazed and terrified. I shift my attention back to the stump and gently flex my fingers. You'll be the one doing all the fighting, I inform her as we arrive at the rayshifting room. She carefully returns Excalibur to Avalon and we continue our journey. As the door opens, we observe the other expert already in the coffins. Saber, grab my shoulder, I command, and she complies without hesitation. I prioritize their energy towards the Singularity, which I assume is France. Wait. You haven't explained. I hear Romani say as I give him a knowing smile, while Saber and I make our way to the France Singularity. Connor's perspective. Danny Phantom, I remark, observing Danny, another one of my and Naruto's creations scattered across various realities. Superman? He inquires with a discerning expression on his face. Almost there, Superboy, I respond to him as I regain my composure and direct my attention towards him. I must admit, he does make me a bit uneasy in my expert opinion. He is an impossibility. Existing in a state of simultaneous life and death. You appear to be quite successful, I remark, taking in the grandeur of his castle while making an effort to hide any hint of disappointment on my face. You could say that, he says, rising to his feet and moving nearer to me. What happened to you? I mean, the others probably went through something similar, I ask straightforwardly, as I'm tired of avoiding the topic. Getting right down to business, Okay. Upon my arrival, I found myself trapped in Danny's ghost form after he used the Fenton ghost catcher to separate it. Unfortunately, I was too spiritually weak to have any impact on Danny. It wasn't until Plasmius started creating various clones using ectoplasm that I finally managed to break free, he recalls, closing his eyes as the memory resurfaces. Ectoplasm is not meant to grow on its own. When it bonded with Danny at a cellular level, it's like the mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell, he explains. I quickly grasp the concept as my mind races to process the information. I sift through my knowledge of life and death, eventually arriving at my own conclusion. Your soul became intertwined with a fragment of Danny's, as ectoplasm bestowed upon you additional powers. Indeed, it did have a significant impact. It is worth noting that our souls, in their original state, were not equipped to harness such extraordinary powers. This limitation may be attributed to our origins in the elemental nations, he explains. Indeed, that is something I discovered, I remark with a slight frown on my face. I already had a discussion about this with Naruto. However, the nature of our souls prevents us from harnessing any form of supernatural power. It is likely that this is the reason why our souls were fractured and placed into bodies that were required to be clones. My assumption was unfortunately correct, I state, releasing a trembling breath, causing Danny to raise an eyebrow. The initial state of our soul likely originated from a world rooted in pure materialism. What? He asks, and I promptly retrieve a whiteboard to provide him with a clear explanation. Materialism is accountable for the laws of physics that govern our world, while another facet is spiritualism. The spiritual aspect is what enables us to possess these extraordinary abilities, such as magic, ecto-energy, ki, chakra, or even our soul, I elaborate to him. The elemental nations must be viewed as a world driven by materialistic pursuits, which could potentially explain the absence of superpowers despite the existence of chakra. It is important to note that chakra itself is not a natural phenomenon, as it originated from the Sage of Six Paths or the 10 Tails, at least according to our current understanding. Hold on, please, he says calmly as he gestures with his hand, conjuring a protective bubble of shimmering blue energy around us. Please proceed, he says, and I acknowledge him with a nod, sensing that we are in a time bubble, which adds an extra layer of privacy. I provided him with a comprehensive explanation of the world of pure materialism. But, I interrupt him by raising a finger. Our body is a temple, I mention to him, and he pauses to reflect on it, confidently snapping his fingers as he understands. I feel a sense of joy as I think about my nephews and nieces. Our previous body was our soul, he states. Bingo. That world must be incredibly challenging for individuals who desire to possess extraordinary abilities. While I do miss our friends, I'm uncertain if I would willingly endure the same struggles we faced in the past. However, these circumstances also aid me in finding clarity, he remarks, as a white energy circle materializes around his waist before dividing into two separate entities, one ascending and the other descending. I was taken aback when I laid eyes on him. You seem to have a certain air of expertise, I inquire, observing him closely. He appears to resemble our younger selves from when we were 17. Indeed, it would provide a comprehensive understanding of the intricate connection between our physical form and our essence, he remarks. Returning to you, what experiences did you endure? I inquire, recalling my previous question to him. Oh, I was in a state of uncertainty and isolation. I had only Vlad, who somewhat treated me like a son, although his actions were often contradictory. However, I prefer to believe that he genuinely cared for me to some degree. Danny's recollections of utilizing his abilities proved invaluable, as I found myself compelled to assist Vlad in confronting his troubled history. Over time, Vlad had amassed numerous adversaries in the Ghost Zone, earning both fear and admiration. However, his actions had caused significant harm to many lives, he reflects, resuming his ghostly form and settling onto his throne. When the spirits discovered that I was under his guidance, they launched an assault on both me and Danny, who didn't manage to make it. However, that was when I lost myself, he says with a sense of regret on his face. When Danny was in a critical state, I utilized the ghost gauntlets to separate his human and ghost forms once more. In a rather unconventional move, I merged with his vanishing ghost half, harnessing the powers of the reality gauntlet to enhance my own abilities. As a result, I successfully located the final 2 gems for it, he explains, while I observe the peculiar contraption on his arm. Later, I meticulously combed through the extensive collection at the Library of Ghost Writer, carefully selecting books that delved into the intriguing realm of powerful artifacts. With a focused determination, I embarked on a journey through different dimensions, acquiring coveted treasures without hesitation. Eventually, I proudly obtained these 2 remarkable items, he declares, gesturing to the ring adorning his right hand and the blazing green crown atop his head. After enhancing the Fenton Power armor with the Reality Gauntlet, harnessing the power of the Crown of Fire and the Ring of Rage for continuous wear, my focus shifted from artifact hunting to crafting vials that could grant me the abilities of the most formidable ghosts in the zone. And then, this unexpected discovery emerged, he reveals, presenting a striking crimson-colored sphere. A sinister Dragon Ball, I remark, instantly recognizing it. It possessed Vlad and I. Dot had to eliminate him, he says, gazing at the ground. Connor's perspective observing Danny. I notice a few tears slipping away. I approach him and gently place my hand on his shoulder. Based on my observations, he appears to be a relatively insignificant part of our group, indicating that he is also one of the least experienced among us. My brother, from a certain perspective, Naruto, has proven to be remarkably mature in his decision-making and is unafraid to hold me accountable for my less than noble actions. However, he does acknowledge the necessity of my actions for survival. Upon our initial encounter with Naruto, I must confess that I felt a mixture of apprehension and fear. Dealing with a Saiyan, especially Vegito, is not something anyone would willingly undertake. However, I quickly moved past it, as we have formed a strong connection over the years. He has been a valuable confidant, providing me with someone to talk to. Despite having Diana, her mother, her aunt, and a new person in my life as my partners, he has played a unique role in my support system. Maxima, the Queen of Almerac. There is a clear divide between us, as I am hesitant to disclose my background without careful consideration. Even though I have achieved complete domination over the earth and established myself as its ruler, I continue to govern from behind the scenes. Operating in a discreet manner recently, I have started the process of dismantling countries and merging them together, with the goal of gradually unifying the people of Earth. Danny, I state, what occurred? I inquire. When the evil Dragon Ball became attached to him, he relentlessly pursued Danny's family, inflicting unspeakable harm upon Jack, before subjecting both Maddie and Jazz to a horrifying transformation, making them half-his, and subjecting them to his control through the power of the evil Dragon Ball. I had to make the difficult decision to end the lives of Maddie and Jazz, as they had reached a point of no return. Unfortunately, the power of the evil Dragon Ball prevented me from resurrecting Jack. Maddie and Jazz had endured unimaginable suffering as his captives for an extended period of time, which had irreparably damaged their mental well-being. It occurred while I was searching for artifacts, he says, and I simply listened. I was completely consumed by my own confidence, believing that I was invincible and unbreakable. Even though I knew deep down that they weren't truly my family, I held on to Danny's memories, which made them feel like family in some way, he says, his voice filled with sorrow. I feel quite uncomfortable in this situation, as in my previous experience in DC, I didn't prioritize understanding others' perspectives. However, I do recognize that many of my actions were driven by what I believed to be necessary. I ensured the demise of Joker and others of his ilk. I transformed the League of Assassins into a highly skilled team of operatives under my command. I have successfully created numerous duplicates of the Justice League, transforming them into skilled soldiers and researchers. These clones have proven to be invaluable assets, aiding me in my exploration of both magic and technology. Additionally, I have harnessed the power of magical batteries, allowing me to draw energy for intricate rituals and spells that would otherwise be too draining for me to perform alone. However, I didn't simply stop there. Oops, I went even further. I utilized the Rock of Eternity to travel through time, procured a multitude of Kryptonians, and employed them to create a formidable army at my disposal. However, this proved insufficient for my purposes. When I encountered Brainiac, I took complete control over him, ensuring his complete obedience. Although I released the cities he had captured, my motive was solely to have a constant supply of fresh genetic material at my disposal. Even the Kryptonians I brought from the past are currently experiencing this situation. I ruthlessly decimated Thanagar, relentlessly extracting every last trace of nth metal from the planet without any regard for the consequences. I emerged victorious over Maxima and have now taken her as my spouse. Additionally, I have gained dominion over all the planets that were once under her rule, resulting in a substantial increase in the number of planets under my command. I will not justify my actions, as I am fully aware that everything I have done is incorrect. Do I have any regrets? Indeed, I wholeheartedly embrace this situation and have come to terms with it. I am handling it to the best of my abilities. Despite Diana's admiration for me, I have been encouraging her to prioritize her own self-expression and personal needs. Any Amazon on the Themyscira would be willing to assist me. It is alarming to observe the level of obedience and willingness to harm oneself that some individuals display when given certain instructions. I am appalled by the extreme measures they would go to in order to satisfy me. I was curious about their motivation until I delved into the recollections of my other self. I was deeply concerned by his experience. He faced it all on his own, without any support or means to survive. If he hadn't come up with the idea to harness magic for his own benefit, his fate would have been tragic. Wow, it seems like he, or rather I, lost all hope as soon as he finished his part. He took a bold leap to provide assistance. Now here I am. As a highly skilled individual, I possess the abilities of a full-blooded Kryptonian and have acquired the Kryptonian Growth Codex from an alternate timeline. Additionally, I have obtained a unique meteor from another timeline that grants the powers of telepathy, telekinesis, and mind control, previously sought after by Gorilla Grodd. I have acquired the divine authorities of the gods with the assistance of the formidable Black Lightning of Shazam, also known as Black Adam's powers, elevating me to a level akin to that of a deity, much like Diana. I possess the strength and power that sets me apart as one of the most formidable beings in the DC universe. However, observing the consistent growth of Darkseid serves as a reminder to stay focused and level-headed. Whenever he successfully dominates a timeline, he drains a significant portion of his avatar's power in that particular timeline. He then redistributes this power among his other avatars, making them considerably more challenging to eliminate. Danny, I shout, apologies, I simply lacked the presence of someone to provide solace during this time. However, I assure you, I will manage, he says, regaining composure. There is another matter we should discuss, he says, composed and collected. With a flick of his hand, something materializes seemingly out of nowhere. Touch it, and you will see, he says, and I hesitate for a moment before deciding to place some trust in him. I reach out and touch the crystal, and what unfolds before me are vivid memories of someone named Jason. I observe the organization he is affiliated with, diligently striving to expand into different realities, achieving varying degrees of success. I am disappointed by these individuals as everyone has their boundaries. I believe Jason is no longer alive, and my disappointment grows as I discover the primary motivations of this group. They desire women, power, but above all, women. I observe as Jason engages in inappropriate behavior, imposing himself on others. Chuckling and grinning with twisted delight, I feel a strong sense of disgust as I witness him tampering with a DC timeline, separating it from the larger DC multiverse. It is disheartening to see him engage in inappropriate behavior with the women in that timeline, perpetrating terrible acts. I can sense my frustration growing as he imposes himself on the Diana of that timeline. Finally, after a considerable amount of time, he discovers a Ben 10 timeline in which Ben would have met his demise during his initial encounter with Vilgax. Essentially, he resets the DC timeline he had taken and inserts Ben 10 into it. Completing the remaining memories, I make an effort to remain composed. I have a strong intuition that this could be connected to our current situation, but I'm unsure about the specifics. Danny's perspective: it was necessary to show Connor the memories of Jason. I will require his assistance, along with anyone else who is accompanying him. So, I inquire, so, do you have a method of transportation to that Ben 10 timeline? He inquires, completely disregarding my question. No, I can navigate this multiversal cluster on my own, albeit with some challenges. What Jason knew was more complex than what I can fully comprehend, I respond honestly. Do you? He begins, but I interrupt him by revealing the omnitrix that I acquired from Ben. Wow, I understand, I say with a knowing smile, as the presence of an omnitrix in front of me awakened the childlike curiosity within. Impressive, remarks Connor, studying it intently. The amount of energy it produces is truly remarkable, surpassing even the sun's output by several magnitudes. The level of complexity is also noteworthy. If I hadn't studied Brainiac's work, I would compare it to the intricacy of a motherbox, he remarks, utilizing his advanced vision to observe the intricacies of the omnitrix firsthand. With a slight shake of my head, I refocus on Connor, who is giving me a familiar expression. What's the matter? I inquire. Well, the omnitrix is a highly intricate piece of technology that I have encountered in this vast multiversal cluster, he remarks. It is quite complex and beyond my current capabilities. Despite having Jason's notes, I still struggle to fully understand its inner workings, I admit, scratching my head in frustration. I decide to set it aside for now and focus on gathering more information later. We'll discuss it later, Connor says. I would like to discuss Naruto and the other aspect of our lives, he states, capturing my attention as I sit up straight and give him my full focus. Naruto possesses a unique combination of Saiyan abilities, drawing from the memories of Goku and Vegeta. His power level has reached Super Saiyan 4, and he has also developed impressive skills in magic. Naruto's strong work ethic, dedication to learning, and patience are evident in his approach to tasks. He has a no-nonsense attitude and is extremely detail-oriented. Above all, Naruto's maturity shines through as he offers valuable advice on various matters. I reflect, absorbing the information shared. He is in a relationship with Vomi, or Android 21. I'll have to ask him more about that later. Returning to him, I must admit, he serves as my moral compass, he says with a hint of embarrassment on his face. Why would he be your moral guide? I inquire, feeling a sense of unease settling in my stomach.
Listen, he pauses, inhaling deeply. When I first woke up, I found myself in a test tube, in an entirely unfamiliar body. The rapid influx of experiences left me feeling disoriented and adrift. I lacked any support system, and upon discovering that I was in DC, I felt a profound sense of loss, knowing that I would be relentlessly pursued, regardless of my whereabouts.
A future version of myself, with a strong sense of professionalism, made significant sacrifices to achieve success. He dedicated himself to acquiring knowledge, technology, and most importantly, forming alliances, he says, reflecting on his choices with a hint of regret. He messed with time, he says, and I start to grasp the extent of his actions.
He traveled to the past to when Themyscira was barely even formed and, essentially influenced the Amazons to be devoted to me, deeply respecting my every move. As a result, Wonder Woman became incredibly loyal to me, always ready to fulfill any request without hesitation. The level of dedication she displayed was truly astonishing, he says, and I am in shock at what he is telling me.
He instructed the Amazons to gather artifacts from all periods of history, regardless of their strength, and to prioritize both technology and magic. After that, he visited Circe's residence and assumed control over her, directing her to the Mysteria to educate the Amazons about magic and conduct further research. Subsequently, he left a memory disk behind, containing a comprehensive account of his experiences before his existence was either erased or merged with my current self, he explains, and I attentively listen. After being rescued from the Cadmus cloning facility by Robin, Kid Flash, and Aqualad, Wonder Woman graciously offered to look after me. Over the next few months, she took me under her wing and became a mentor figure in my life, he admits with a bashful expression, prompting me to react with a disapproving look. Okay, listen up. Imagine having Darkseid, Necron, and Trigon all after you because of the knowledge you possess. Trust me, it's no walk in the park, he says, clearly frustrated with me. I'm not making any assumptions, but it seems like you might have a large family, I comment as he briefly struggles to catch his breath before bursting into laughter. Oh, no way, man, while the women on DC are undeniably attractive, most of them may not be suitable for a serious relationship, with a few exceptions, he says, leaving me curious for further explanation.
Black Canary, known for her physical prowess, and Oliver Queen, Green Arrow had a difficult situation when he discovered her being unfaithful in their own home. Lois Lane engaged in relationships with multiple security guards to gather information for the Daily Planet. Queen Mara of Atlantis betrayed Arthur Curry by cheating on him with his brother Orm, deceiving him about the paternity of their child and even having 2 children with Orm. I react with a look of disapproval. Wow, I exclaim, thoroughly impressed. I understand his reservations about entering into a relationship with them.
Now returning to Naruto, he says, refocusing the discussion. He serves as a reliable source of guidance, most of the time. He has been a great support by providing me with someone to confide in. Wait, what about the Amazons collecting artifacts? I inquire, interrupting him. Oh, indeed, that is a significant aspect of my past as well. Well observed, he acknowledges. So, they gathered powerful artifacts, one of which was the dagger of Shazam. Using it, I managed to claim a significant portion of Black Adam's power for myself. From that point on, increasing my strength became increasingly effortless, he reveals, a mischievous grin spreading across his face. You know, it's been some time since I last engaged in combat. I believe you would make a suitable sparring partner, he remarks, and I reciprocate with a smile as I swiftly transport us to a different location. I stretch and crack my back as I stand up. We are in a highly competitive arena. This is going to be enjoyable, Connor's perspective. I observe Danny as he prepares himself, his hands emitting an eerie green glow. Out of nowhere, a sense of unease washes over me and I swiftly tap on the ground, propelling myself into the air as a series of unexpected blasts materialize. Impressive, I skillfully evade a barrage of unexpected attacks, swiftly discerning Danny's utilization of space manipulation to create portals. Glancing over at Danny, I notice him giving me a subtle smirk. Avoiding another explosion, I find myself quite intrigued by something. Allowing oneself to be struck, I am quite astonished by the ability of the blow to cause me pain. I descend slightly as I observe my blood for the first time in a while. Ecto energy, what is this? I can sense that it had a profound impact on both my physical well-being and my inner being. Considering Danny's expertise, I decide to give him more weightage now.
I quickly move towards him. I continue to pursue him relentlessly, but there is an unsettling feeling in the air.
I halt my running and notice that the distance between us remains unchanged. I swiftly grasp the situation. You increased. No, extended the distance between us, I say, growing rather frustrated with him.
Yes, impressive. In this instance, I employ my telekinetic abilities to effortlessly extract a stone from the Earth's surface and propel it towards my opponent, aiming to obstruct his vision. Simultaneously, I swiftly cast a spell to teleport myself behind him.
Just as I am about to make contact, he suddenly vanishes from my sight and I am forcefully thrown to the ground. You're not very skilled in combat, are you? He inquires, and I let out a sigh of frustration. Actually, I consider myself more of a researcher, I honestly respond to him. However, I start, fading away from his view. I am surrounded by a vibrant aura of energy as I swiftly move around him. I sense a strong sense of pressure as time seems to slow down, making every movement feel sluggish. That won't be effective, I state confidently as the red lightning enveloping me transforms into a dark shade.
With precision and force, I strike my fist into his back, only to be met with a swift retaliation as he effortlessly turns his head 180 degrees and sends me flying.
I allowed him to strike me as the black lightning transforms back to red. Acquiring a portion of Eobard Thon's link to the negative speed force became possible once I discovered the ability to utilize the Rock of Eternity for temporal transportation. I took it immediately when he replicated the experiment and he was amazed by the intensity of the negative speed force's illumination. I don't have the same level of expertise as Eobard, but my intention was for different purposes. On the other hand, I didn't want the connection to be purely based on the challenges of being connected to either of the speed forces. Once more, I rise to my feet and skillfully harness the elements to conjure a tempest around us. From beneath my shirt emerges a shimmering liquid that swiftly takes shape as a trident. The Trident of Neptune, one of the most formidable tools in my repertoire. Danny reveals a green glowing sword accompanied by white ecto flames. Our weapons combine to generate an immense shockwave. How does he manage to match my strength? We clash a few more times and with each encounter, our weapons create a powerful shockwave. How? I inquire, my curiosity piqued. Just to clarify, with my reality manipulation abilities, I can manipulate the very fabric of reality. So, instead of just my fists or sword hitting you, it's as if the force behind the attacks is amplified by the immense power of black holes, he explains, a mischievous smile on his face.
Wow, it's no surprise that his hits genuinely caused me pain.
I have yet to venture into a black hole, as I have a strong intuition that escaping would prove quite challenging. I observe his sword with a dismissive scoff. That sword is incredibly impressive, it is overflowing with space-time energy. I have never been more grateful for the wisdom of Zeuti, also known as Thoth. His sword possesses an extraordinary ability to transcend dimensions and manipulate matter at the atomic level. Its power is truly remarkable, capable of slicing through anything, including me. I thought as we continued to clash, except this time we fought in the air. Trying to attack him, he becomes intangible, and despite my trident being made from nth metal, it simply passes through him without causing any harm. He forcefully pulls my leg towards him, delivering a powerful punch to my chest. The impact leaves me gasping for air, causing me to involuntarily release some saliva. The impact of his hit propels me backwards, but I can't help but smile. I am not skilled in combat, but Danny certainly possesses the qualities of a fighter. Being relatively new to battle, particularly at our level, presents a valuable opportunity for learning. Given my plans to expand my empire and establish my dominance, it is inevitable that I will eventually face off against formidable adversaries such as Darkseid and potentially Highfather of New Genesis. If I desired to separate and contain my universe, those two individuals will be quite challenging to handle. However, I have some ideas on how to outsmart them. That's enough, Danny, I say, accepting my defeat. Indeed, I wasn't exerting my full effort, and it seemed that he was also skilled enough to respond to my heightened speed thanks to the Speed Force. However, he utilized his reality manipulation to level the playing field.
However, that sword of his is undeniably one of the factors that exhausts me.
I must admit, the Excalibur from DC is the only one that truly elicits such a reaction from me. Even Naruto appeared quite wary of it, which makes sense considering his desire for immortality. I'm confident that it's one of the weapons capable of ending his life. Not that I have any intention of doing so, but in our future encounters, we may encounter beings that exist on a higher plane. Even now, I can sense a growing connection with my divine authorities with each passing moment. I have elevated myself to a higher status by imposing limitations on the alterations that my divine authorities can make to my existence. I am confident that with ample time and the multitude of divine authorities at my disposal, I would have evolved into a being akin to Darkseid and Highfather. However, I am eagerly anticipating Naruto's fulfillment of his promise to grant me God Ki. If I were to attain the powers of Darkseid for Highfather, I would face a dilemma as I would forfeit many advantages that come with being a mere mortal. If we delve into the technical aspects, one would find that there is no limitation imposed by the universal laws or will. There is a clear explanation for why Kal-El is occasionally able to defeat Darkseid. The universal will strives to restrict an individual's power to a manageable level. If Darkseid didn't have to face the universal will, he would cause chaos in my universe. Using God Ki would allow me to completely bypass the will. I'm curious about Naruto's current status, Naruto's perspective. It's on fire, I exclaim, gazing at the city of France in the distance, tightly gripping Saber's hand as we gracefully descend to the ground. Well, it appears that not much has changed, remarks Saber, catching my attention. I can't help but blink in surprise as her eyes transition from a vibrant emerald green to a ghostly pale yellow before returning to their usual green hue. Nothing, I respond, intuitively aware of the other's whereabouts and making my way towards them. Naruto's point of view. I have never been to France, what about you? I inquire of Saber, gently grasping her hand as we descend from the sky and touch down on the ground. Several times, she responds, holding my hand firmly as she gazes downward. I was taken aback by the scene that unfolded before us as we emerged above the clouds. I have always been punctual and reliable in attending all my desired locations. I focus intently, extending my senses to detect the malevolent energy emanating from the evil Dragon Balls in the vicinity. Prepare yourself, Saber, I say, sensing the presence of skeletons scattered on the ground and unfamiliar flying creatures. Releasing her grip as we ascend just a meter above the ground, she swiftly springs into action. With a swift motion, she unsheathes Excalibur, which becomes enveloped in multiple layers of air. The golden gleam of Excalibur is concealed, giving the illusion that her sword is invisible. She proceeds to effortlessly annihilate the skeletons, each one infused with the malevolent energy of the Dragon Ball. I'm impressed by her skills as she swiftly takes care of the skeletons nearby before approaching me. I murmur in awe as I observe the majestic flying creatures. Initially, I mistook them for dragons, but upon closer inspection, I realized they were actually wyverns. Underwhelming, I wanted to engage in a thrilling battle with a formidable dragon. Saber, wyverns, I state matter-of-factly, gesturing towards them. Through our master-servant link, I instruct her to come closer to me as I handle the wyverns. When she does, I confidently raise my hand and effortlessly unleash a barrage of ki blasts, obliterating every single wyvern in sight. We should consider acquiring them, I inform Saber, who gazes at me with a hint of perplexity. Chaldea will require additional supplies. I've learned that dragons are essentially magical energy manifested in physical bodies. While wyverns may not be as powerful, every contribution will be valuable. Additionally, I'm quite intrigued by their taste, I mention to her in conclusion. Now I also find myself curious, she says with a small smile that I mirror. I efficiently capture each of the wyverns using ki telekinesis and bring them over to our location. How will you? Oh, never mind, she says as I effortlessly form several ki blades and skillfully remove the wyvern flesh from their bones. I casually retrieve a backpack from behind me, which Connor had kindly assisted me in expanding to hold more on the inside. It was surprisingly straightforward once I grasped the underlying principle. Sorry, but I disagree. This was incredibly complex, even after Connor simplified it for me multiple times. I must confess that I still have yet to dabble in the realm of spatial magic. Despite my extensive knowledge of magic, I have yet to fully utilize most of it. Elemental magic, I have utilized it in various ways, such as igniting campfires with a powerful display of flames or summoning lightning to spark an unlit fire. Additionally, I have harnessed ice magic to create ice cubes for my beverages or to provide a refreshing coolness. I have meticulously prepared multiple rooms, each containing various ritual circles, catering to a wide range of rituals. I have hundreds of workrooms packed with countless magical items that I started but haven't quite gotten around to completing. Working on artificing, alchemy, like transmutation, and blacksmithing, and attempting to employ the three archetypes together is challenging. I can employ alchemical transmutation to aid me with blacksmithing, but I would have to spend weeks or months in the forge to produce what I desire. Sure, I can employ magic materialization, but not in the same way a Kai would. I have come very far in understanding more about it, yet Kai have varied amounts of divine authorities. Even the guardians of planets have a very diluted kind of a divine authority, like a piece of garbage sort of form. I won't be able to utilize a divine authority at that level anytime soon. Seeing Connor's Excalibur and Saber's version of it has inspired me many ideas, but none of which I will be able to apply to myself anytime soon. I finish cutting the flesh from the wyverns and use magic materialization to wrap it up. Then I use some ice magic that I learned to freeze it and manage to put it in the backpack, which fills up to about 4/5 of its carrying capacity. I take a few bones and shatter them into dust, leaving very little room in the bag. Fortunately, I gave Saber her own. Let's get a move on Saber, I urge her, and she nods, her guard up, as I detect the whereabouts of Olga, Ritska, Cu, and Mash and begin to walk in their direction. Poor souls, she says as we pass a family who was burned to a crisp. We are at the period when the French monarch and the church burnt Joan of Arc alive. Why are there wyverns here? I question myself out loud. Why use wyverns when whoever that man with hair was, who has 2 evil Dragon Balls, hasn't accomplished his goal yet? Option 1. He wants to bring the remaining evil Dragon Balls to him. Since they are in wholly different realms, this would explain why he is utilizing human souls to do so.
Connor has his own army of female clones to assist the magic he employs to speak with me.
Dragging anything from another universe totally may be a step up from that.
Option 2. The white-haired guy is either being possessed by the shadow dragons within the evil Dragon Balls, or he may have voluntarily done this and the dragons are just assisting him out.
Master, I would like to ask some questions. Saber says he's more comfortable than previously but remains wary about potential adversaries. Go ahead, I told her. Why would you ask me to be your servant? She asks suspiciously. From what I have seen, you do not truly need me, she continues to glance at me as we walk. I am trying to conserve energy, as what I am doing is using a lot of energy, while killing the wyverns and then cutting them into pieces. Practically cut my time by mere seconds compared to the 3 years that I have left. I tell her as I want to save as much of my energy as possible. Are you dying? She asks, little frightened. No, not exactly. Think about this body being an exact duplicate of my original. I am essentially controlling it, using one mind. This body will expire in around 3 years, I say, putting her somewhat at ease since she appears to comprehend. For my next one, what are you? She asks clearly. You look, sound, and even act like a human, but that tail on your waist and the aura that you give off are not that of one, she adds as I wiggle my tail around. Oh, good question, I am an alien. Naruto's Pav. Oh, good question, I am an alien, I inform her, since I honestly don't care about disclosing it to her. Having read about the many contacts that the inhabitants of our world have had incredibly negative experiences with aliens. Someone known as the Crimson Moon and his dead apostles, vampires, are one example. Another option is the spider-like monster known as Ort. From what I've learned, that monster is on a whole new level of power for the people of this earth. Not exactly surprising, but if they had preserved their link with Earth, Gaia, they would be capable of putting up a fight. Well, I may be giving them too much credit. Humans would be like a kid thrashing frantically attempting to battle a seasoned soldier. To be honest, it is quite the leap. I have no clue what people on this planet was thinking when they broke the link. All I have to say is that they are all really foolish. The outcomes speak for themselves. Humanity no longer has gods to help, protect, and guide them actively. They must rely on rapidly dwindling sources of magical energy. Their bodies break down more easily than before, and their DNA is losing its ability to evolve. Meanwhile, the Earth is actively aiding in the evolution of other animals. Gaia is allowing more solar radiation to bypass the atmosphere and hit the ground in an attempt to burn humanity alive.
Meanwhile, Those who are aware of what is known as the moonlit world are still battling among themselves in order to reach what they refer to as the root.
The ultimate goal of the Magus organization is to reach the root, and many of their efforts are centered on finding a way to it, not giving a damn about the folks they've wounded along the way. Having the viewpoint of a Saiyan on top of my human one really helps me. Humans are foolish. They have a tremendously powerful alien species practically in their house, and instead of working together to defeat it, they concentrate on reaching a destination that has only been seen by a few of humans. I completely understand if they were attempting to contact it because the Ord is on Earth and they want to get rid of it. They might have used it as an excuse, but they have to fight all the time. Instead, they prefer to turn their backs on the Earth, then essentially rape the planet to its death, and then go on with its body. An alien? Saber is taken aback and repeats, confirmed.
Yes, an alien, I say, and an idea jumps into my brain to screw with her and the rest of Chaldea, and possibly muck with that Alaya thing. I switch on the communicator that Romani gave me.
Why are you? She starts, but I stop her off. Helping you. I may be an alien to you, but the Earth is my home. I lived here my whole life, and while I am from another planet, this world is also my home. I respond her as I hear someone coughing over my communicator and someone drop something to the ground.
Most likely a cup or something. I seem to have broken her as she glances at me before shutting her eyes for a second, taking a big breath, and letting out my notion to screw with everyone.
I am not sure, what's so weird about, I reply to her, and she glances at me, losing her composure for a second. I mean, aliens have lived among humanity for a long time, I explain as I see that we are coming closer to Olga and the rest of our party, who are presently gazing at me with skeptical expressions on their faces. What do you mean aliens have lived among humanity for a long time? Olga screams out as I maintain my poker face as CU looks at me intensely and I can feel a certain pressure originating from one of his eyes. Oh, simple really, when humanity turned its back on the planet, aliens just saw Earth as unclaimed due to humanity's rejection of it, therefore, we came to Earth to live in it, I explain while messing with their heads. I let them digest everything as I attempt to detect if the evil Dragon Balls are around here someplace. I can hear Saber describing what occurred and how we got up in the air and gradually drifted down. Damn it, I can't detect them. This location is too saturated with their energy, which is merging with everything else. I look over to the group and hear Romani speaking to us. We are identifying a lot of servants in your surrounding vicinity. Please take care. According to the database, there should be a fort near your position, thus it would be a good idea to attempt and explore what is going on. I barely heard what he said at the end since I wasn't paying attention. Look for a fort for information, got it, I say while expanding my senses to seek for people, but I don't have to strive too hard since I can hear a carriage with metal clacking on metal. Turning my head, I let out a slight hum and indicate for them to follow me as they speak to one another. Nevertheless, Olga seems torn as she glances at me from time to time. Why are you on Earth? I hear Romani asking sincerely via my comlink. What do you mean? Why are you helping us? He reiterates. I remain quiet for a while before exhaling forcefully. Humanity would not be so willing to fight for their home, but the Earth is my home. I am not willing to let anyone destroy it. I answer him because I've been feeling this way since I learnt that humans rejected their birth planet, or at least this one. I am a Saiyan in mind, body, and spirit, but my goals and morals remain those of a human. I may have changed a lot, but at my heart, I consider myself a human just as much as a Saiyan. How long have you lived on Earth? Saber looks at me as we all follow the carriage over to the fort Romani indicated. All of my life, I say. How many aliens are there? Asks Romani. Kal-El, Marvin, Connor, and I, the others, I haven't really stayed in contact with them, I inform them. And we get to enjoy the benefits of accepting the Earth as our home, I boast a little while lying. Benefits? Asks Olga. I am sure you have felt my magical energy right and how different it feels from all of you. I am using true ether. I claim to be completely deceiving them. You are a god? Olga yells after a minute, and I repress a sigh. In your definition, I could be, but on my homeworld, no, I am not a god, I respond. Even though I have a little of deity key in me, I am not a god. Yet Naruto's Pav. So what have you guys learned? Asks Olga as we all gather after entering the fort and collecting any sort of important information. Jeanne d'Arc has returned back to life after being burned at the stake and killing those who burned her alive for fighting for what she believed in. I begin, still struggling to put my brain around it. From what I know, she was burned alive by the king in the church, and that's about where my knowledge of her existence ends. Classic hypocrisy at its best. She has somehow managed to summon dragons. Begin mash before I stop her. Wyverns, mash, wyverns, dragons are far stronger, I correct her. It is very important to keep in mind that difference, I explain as everyone glances at me. Alright, wyverns are going around killing people and have forced the invaders of France to retreat, says Mash. The skeletons are stronger than before, notes C. If I am right, I need to find the one empowering them, and I am the only one who can, I add, trying to place it in the reality of the situation. I'll be dealing with 2 shadow dragons, the 2 and 3 star shadow dragons. If I were here with my whole body, I wouldn't be concerned, but this pseudo-body of mine is losing strength in maintaining the link between this reality and the world of Dragon Ball. Having Saber as my servant in this scenario is good since she absorbs significantly less magical energy than I lose over time. In truth, these last several hours, she has just consumed seconds of my time here, but I get the impression that morphing will shorten my temporality here.
I need to recover the evil Dragon Ball soon, and I can't afford to squander my time dealing with the Singularity. Why do you say that? I see Cuyu's right eye is glowing. The white-haired guy is in possession of several mysterious orbs. I know what they are, and if I am correct, your grand order will fall. I need to acquire them from him at any costs, I explain a little while I contemplate whether or not to give them information about the Dragon Balls.
The energy of these orbs is empowering the skeletons, to a level beyond what is possible. Olga raises her hand, and I halt. What, exactly, is this energy? She asks. Evil, I say honestly, and she and everyone else blink at me. I am not kidding, the energy is that of pure evil, and it can corrupt those that good, and those that are already evil, well, they get a lot stronger, I add while staring at Ku warily since something about him doesn't seem right. It almost seems like, who are you? I want an explanation from Ku, since his presence has transformed. Time seems to freeze again, but I am well beyond this degree of time manipulation. Ku seems to change from a guy with one eye to a spear, as I observe his staff. Who are you? I will not ask again. I threaten the guy when he finally stops moving and settles into his new look. Insolent one, aren't you? He practically growls out as the point of his spear starts to glow, and arrogance seems to ooze from him. Arrogant, aren't you? I answer, resisting the impulse to roll my eyes at him. I'm not sure why, but something about this man just irritates me. Something like you shouldn't be here, he replies, glaring at me. I stare at him more attentively before something comes over my mind as it rushes to figure out who this person is. Don't hurt yourself, he whispers, and something clicks in my head. You are a divine spirit, aren't you? I remark, since I had read about them and Da Vinci did attempt to explain what they were, but she wasn't able to tell me anything. What she did tell me was how completely cruel they were, and how much of a menace they were to mankind because of their hubris. They regarded mankind as animals at best, and what I read looking through some records of the crimes that the gods of this universe committed to humanity, it's no surprise that they turned their back on them. I spoke with Connor about them, and some of the documents that he displayed via the Rock of Eternity demonstrated that the gods of DC were much nicer than they were here. To be honest, I am quite inclined to blast the Godeling in front of me. The gods of Earth are nothing like those in Dragon Ball. Don't try it, foreigner, he says with contempt. Look who is talking, jackass, weren't you kicked out by humanity like the bitch that they made you into? I say grinning, knowing I struck a raw place as he starts to become agitated. You. He comes to a halt as I extend my palm toward him and make a keyball. Don't test me, I mutter as I increase my might. Just a small amount, but I know that with that much power, I can easily blow up the Earth 100 times over. Even now, the time halt surrounding this spot seems to be ending because of my tremendous force defeating this deity. His wrath begins to vanish and is replaced by fear. Not so different are you, I mocked him, smiling. You know what, I am going to call you prick, I reply, and his face twitches in rage for a second before returning to terror. So, why are you possessing Ku? I ask prick as he breaths out as I let go of my control. I know what creature has caused this mess, and I am here to guide Chaldea in their mission and, when necessary, help them, he eventually responds, which captures my attention. Guide? How could a relic from the past help them now? I ask him. I may be looking down on him, and with good cause. Comparing a deity from Earth to someone more global, like the Supreme Kai, or even someone at the solar system level, like King Kai, is very unjust. Connor admitted that most of the Earth gods in DC lose a major part of their power when they leave Earth, and given that they can only send in avatars of themselves, they only give their avatars so much power, which explains how Connor was able to take away the power they left behind in his universe. I restrain a grimace at what I was planned to do with Beerus in case Zeno ever chose to destroy my world. Beerus may sleep a lot, but this is because the previous god of destruction was assassinated. Beerus truly sleeps after putting everything back in order. Naruto's Pav, the former god of destruction, was slain. Beerus has already completed most of his task. Sure, my world has millions of different sentient creatures going about, but that's it. It just has a few million distinct species. My cosmos has space for literally quadrillions of different creatures. Given that the majority were slaughtered during the fight between the Seekers and the gods, it makes a lot of logic. If I recall correctly, it took humans millions of years to develop. I'm not even calculating how long it would take them to get together, become the dominant race on the planet, and then invent interplanetary travel. Sorry, Beerus, I thought you were simply lazy. Turns out he is almost out of a job. What are your real intentions? I ask. Prick, I told you. Don't give me that bullshit, I interrupted him. If you are a god, why stay on the sidelines? I inquire what he breaths out. The more I personally interfere, the more dangerous everything will become. Stop lying, I said, losing tolerance with him. Self-preservation, he says as I blink and wait for him to clarify. The demon's 2 crystal balls endangered everyone and everything. Past, present, and future, he replies uncomfortably, and I narrow my eyes at him because I get the sense. What did you do? I demand to know. One of those balls landed on the reverse side of the world, he adds. I gaze at him and carefully wipe my eyes. The remaining gods saw it as an opportunity. The power in it is immense and it only grew over time, he says. An opportunity for what? I inquire. To forcefully bring back the age of gods, he replies. To bring back the what now? I answer, absolutely stunned by what they plan to accomplish. Our age, the age of the gods, has to return, he continues, staring at me. You are proof of it as well as those crystal balls, he says. Dragon balls, I remark, sighing. Dragon balls, strange name, going back to it, those things are powerful. Get to the point, I interrupted him. We were going to destroy the pillar that separates the reverse side of the world and the mortal realm, he eventually explains, and I hold back any more remarks since I haven't come that far in this world's knowledge. Then, he said that they sought to bring back the age of gods. The evil dragon balls have done an enormous amount of harm to this world, and I am confident that my presence has placed almost everyone in a panic. I'm not sure how powerful these gods are, but given Prick's worry at the sight of me powering up a tiny amount overwhelmed him with dread. Your name, I demand of him. I am Odin, oh, I reply, blinking and feeling the want to hit myself. Whatever, soon enough, time restarts as a soldier dashes into the room. Excuse me, but we all need to leave this place, says the soldier, and I can hear roars. Saber, I cry out using the strength of the command seals. Master, she begs to be ready for any instruction. Help with the evacuation, make sure none of those people die, as I step outdoors and observe an army of wyverns moving closer and closer. Something else attracts my eye, or rather someone. Ku, help Saber with the evacuation. Olga, Romani, Da Vinci, prepare to reshift in a moment's notice, I shout as my ki surrounds me. In less than a second, I am soaring ahead of my opponent. What seems to be a skin-like material is pink, while the armor that partially covers him is crimson. He also has green oval-shaped patterns on his arms, chest, and head, which light brilliantly. Before I can respond, he grabs my face and smashes me to the ground. I really felt that. Swatting his hand away from my face, I try to strike him, but the glowing markings on his chest generate a tremendous ki blast that hits me in the face and settles on my eyes. Hach, I say in anguish as my eyes recover. I stoop down as his knee smacks me right in the center of my chest. Saiyan, he growls at me as I shove him off of me. Kaioken ×3, I murmur as a crimson aura surrounds me. We begin to battle for a few seconds, but it's evident that he has the edge as his strength continues to rise. Something's wrong. I struggle to prevent his hand from curling around my neck. Master, I can hear Saber via our connection. Stay back, this opponent is beyond any of you. I tell before boosting Kaioken output to ×20. Wrenching myself free, I blow him out of existence. Or so I thought. I see him transform into purple vapor and what looks to be mud clumps back together. Stronger than before, Master, that muck, it's Angra Mainyu, the cause of all evil in the world, she says with distaste at the end. Who? I ask her before engaging in fight with Hach once again. The reason I was turned was because of that mud, Master, she says. Hach is a being made from the hatred of an extinct race, and this Angra Mainyu is a being made by all of the evils in the world. Got it, I inform her while clapping my hands together and preparing to employ spirit control to separate them. When we fight again, I employ spirit fission, but something unusual occurs. What the hell, I reply, feeling his energy, such a tormented person. Angra Mainyu, all stop your agony. I strain my eyes as I sense billions of souls shoving their crimes and wickedness into one individual. Hach is going to pose another challenge. I'm uncertain about how he ended up here, but I have a sense that I won't be pleased with the situation. We continue to have disagreements, which seems to be happening repeatedly, as he becomes less strong while I challenge his determination. I quickly become aware of a sudden pink blast that catches me off guard, piercing my side.
Feeling fed up, I activate my Majin healing powers and send Hach flying. I then turn around to see who it is, and I can't help but hold back a gasp when I notice their hairstyle. Goku, I state as he vanishes from my line of vision, his hand deeply embedded in my chest.
Fortunately, I am allowing my Majin side to take over and handle things. After going Super Saiyan, I attempted to blast him away, or so I thought. After the smoke dissipates, all that remains is the eerie sight of a single, piercing red eye peering through his mask. Step back, this individual is already causing enough trouble, he remarks, his face concealed by a mask. He has a pleasant smile on his face, Naruto's point of view. I gaze up at my new adversary. He is dressed in a black vest with longer flaps in the front and back, which is secured by a black belt. He is also wearing a dark gray long-sleeved shirt, dark gray baggy pants, and a black glove on his right hand. He wears a set of coordinated magenta bracers with white edges on his wrists and shins, complemented by magenta armbands with black edges. His black boots feature a dull yellow toe cap adorned with thin lines. How did you manage to arrive here, Saiyan? He looks at me with intense animosity and a fierce desire for violence. I could inquire the same of you, I retort, my defenses heightened as Hach fixates its gaze upon us. I wouldn't be concerned about him, the individual you should be focusing on. He vanishes from my line of vision, only to suddenly materialize behind me. Is me? I hear from behind me. I exhaled deeply. Forget it. Transforming into Super Saiyan 4, I engage in combat with him.
He skillfully evades and swiftly responds to my attacks.
During our encounter, I notice the ring on his right hand and instinctively distance myself from him, my gaze narrowing. Black, I state, or Zamasu, whichever you prefer, I don't mind either, he responds with a slight chuckle. I quickly approach him and engage in a physical altercation. Despite my best efforts, every attack I make is skillfully avoided or countered. All the actions he takes towards me are resolved. I can sense a lack of professionalism in his attitude towards me. Saber, it is imperative that you confront the Dragon Witch. Please urge the others to expedite their efforts. Unfortunately, I am unable to handle the situation on my own, and we must rely on the civilians and soldiers to protect themselves, I inform her. I will be enhancing the magic that I am sending your way. Prepare yourself, I exclaim as I'm unexpectedly struck by black, causing me to be forcefully propelled through the air. Shortly after, I enhance the level of magic I'm channeling to Saber and catch a brief glimpse of her updated stats, managing to suppress a smirk. Saber stats: strength, excellent, exceptional endurance, high level of agility, mana, X luck, exceptional, ultimate ability, X, thanks to possessing both Excalibur and Avalon. Master, this power. She starts, please follow my instructions. I won't be able to keep these individuals at bay for much longer. I urge her to speed up as I unleash my immense ki, feeling a surge of strength as the legendary S cells replenish my energy. However, this newfound power comes at the cost of reduced long-term potency. I should have tried that sooner. Our fists collide and it's clear that Black is fully engaged in our interaction. Delivering a powerful blow to his stomach, causing Black to double over in pain. I firmly grip the sides of his head and forcefully bring his face into contact with my knee. Saber, Artoria's perspective. Director, be ready to depart immediately. My master is currently engaged in a fierce battle against two formidable opponents, and he has instructed me to swiftly eliminate the Dragon Witch. I inform the director of Chaldea, but pause as I notice a figure approaching us.
Maybe I can provide some help, says a female voice, and I turn to see my own reflection.
Wow, she bears a striking resemblance to me. Well, almost, I observe as I notice that her attributes have changed. May I inquire about your identity? I draw my sword, sensing a servant-like presence, yet somehow different. I am a professional, she declares confidently, summoning a banner into her hand. I handle it with ease. Could you please clarify? Olga inquires. Now is not the appropriate moment, director, I inform her calmly amidst the chaotic sounds of screaming. My attention is drawn to one of my master's adversaries, clad in dark attire, as they undergo a startling transformation. The other one is observing the master intently. Saber, please hurry up, my master's voice echoes loudly in my mind. I assure him, shifting my attention to Jean. Come with me, we need to move quickly. Caster, shielder, ensure the safety of your masters. I instruct them, swiftly taking hold of Jean and dashing towards the castle of the Dragon Witch. As I strive to maintain my balance amidst the trembling earth and the seemingly fracturing sky, I sense my master's concern through our connection. Saber, when you arrive at the castle, destroy it. I'm unsure of how much longer I can hold on. My master's command echoes in my mind, urging me to accelerate. Please stop, Jean weakly whines as I continue at a high speed. Swiftly advancing towards the castle, I unsheath my sword and effortlessly dispatch a few of the creatures in my path. I toss Jean over to the castle as I spot it in the distance. I hear her scream as I efficiently dispatch one creature after another. Before long, a trail of bones is left in my wake as I gracefully leap towards the castle, creating a powerful impact that engulfs the surroundings in a cloud of dust. I catch Jean and spin her around before guiding her towards experienced caster. I narrow my gaze as Jean swiftly strikes him with her legs, forcefully detaching his head from his body. The headless corpse then drops a book onto the ground. I swiftly and confidently pierce the book with Excalibur, channeling a fraction of its formidable power into it. Who? You imposter, a woman's statement. I observe her pale complexion, yellow eyes, and short-cut white blonde hair, and strangely enough, I detect a faint resemblance to my sister, Morgan. And me as well, especially the face. Saber, how much longer? I hear my boss murmuring in my thoughts as I steal a quick look outside and witness a colossal beam of light. The inside of the object is a deep shade of purple, while the exterior is a delicate pink hue. I can faintly discern certain characteristics of my master's adversary, such as their long hair, which is also pink in color. He is also holding my master by the throat. I glance over as I hear the two Jeans arguing. I need to move quickly as I sprint towards both of them. My momentum is abruptly halted when a firm grip seizes my shoulder just as I am about to reach them. In the midst of the chaos, my blade clashes with the Dragon Witch's banner. Out of nowhere, I am transported back to Chaldea, where I am reunited with both Jeans. I look over to find my master lying on the floor, breathing heavily and with wounds that are already starting to heal. Master, I say as both the Jeans continue to fight. Examining him closely, it is evident that he is breathing heavily and there is a glowing mark on his well-defined chest. I shake my head in disbelief as I witness the marking gradually fade away, eventually forming a single mark in the center of their chest before vanishing completely. Saber, have we returned to Chaldea? He asks, clearly in discomfort. I quickly survey my surroundings, noticing Da Vinci rushing towards us. I then redirect my attention back to my master. Yes, we are secure, I assure him as he exhales with relief. It won't be long before Caster and Shielder make their return. I take a moment to collect myself and regain composure. Stay tuned for more. And that's a wrap for now. Thank you so much for tuning into this incredible video. If you absolutely loved it, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel for even more amazing content coming your way.